Christian Pulisic calling out the fans, Herc. What do you think?
I think he's a little confused. I think he meant the amount of U.S. men's national team fans. Obviously, there's a lot of Americans in those stands.
Who support Morocco, right?
Right, yeah. Whether they support Morocco or not. I don't know if picking fights with the fan base is the best idea.
Do you think that's pick and fight with the fan base, or you think that's being honest in 30 seconds after a match?
It could be in the heat of the moment, but still, it's a dig at the fan base because you're saying they don't support you.
I'm not sure Herc's right there, is he, Casey? Is he having a dig at the fan base, or is he having a dig at the organisation, considering how much these tickets are?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a combination. I mean, simply because, yes, it's been an issue for years that the prices for the friendlies have been an issue, because you're getting a more educated fan base that recognizes the difference between several months ago when you had a World Cup qualifier in the same stadium against Mexico, and then you have a friendly against Morocco 5-6 months before a World Cup. So yes, it's different. It's on a Wednesday. It's expensive for a family to go to the game, but then it's also an issue that us as players have had for years. Is the U.S. can host 100 different countries, and the U.S. national team in certain cities will be the away team. And look, it is what it is in this country. It's part of it. You come to accept it. You don't necessarily like it because, Dan, you tell me the last time you went to Wembley and you saw England as the away team. It just doesn't happen that often.
You think $70 was the cheapest tickets, boys, and it's midweek, and if you're taking your family, I get it. I completely get it.
Yeah, and when I heard the statements from Christian Pulisic, my first reaction is, gutsy, interesting, in that if we're going to think of Christian Pulisic as the face of the U.S. national team and the flag bearer for this team, then you're going to be the face in all sorts of different directions, not only on the field, but off the field and taking on this sort of subjects. Now, this is a nuanced conversation. It's a slippery slope, because it is open for interpretation as to what he was referring to. Was it the fans? Was it the organization? You just asked the question, and it could go in all sorts of different directions. So the only thing that I would say to Christian Pulisic is this. I don't mind the fact that he comes out and says this, but if you're going to have a conversation about this, then make it more than a 30-second soundbite. In the press conference post-game, explain yourself and actually tell us wholeheartedly what is it that you're feeling, why are you feeling this way, and fully explain your position. That way, this is not left for interpretation, and that way we're not asking the question, is it about the fans, is it about the organization? Regardless, if you're Christian Pulisic and any member of that national team, you want the stadium packed cheering for you. You think you deserve that much, and you want to expect that from your fans, and therefore you're going to go down this path of asking fans to be out on the field. The slippery slope is when you start telling people as to how they should be spending their money. And that's the part that people are not going to quite understand, and it could go down the very dark and very deep conversation of, because you play in the Premier League, you're going to tell me how to spend my money because you think that everybody's got it like you have it. That's why I'm thinking that it would be a better idea for Christian Pulisic to come out and actually have this conversation, put it out in the open, but in a manner in which he could explain himself rather than just a 30-second soundbite.
I think Pulisic is echoing the sentiments of a lot of soccer fans here in the US. And Ali's absolutely right. The comment that he made is a dig at the US fan base. But without that follow-up comment or question, the question has to be asked of US soccer. What are you doing so that we aren't seen as the away team? Because when other countries come to the US, just because of the diversity here in the US, this is the only opportunity that people of Moroccan descent are going to get to see Morocco. So they are going to travel the country over to come to that game. Cincinnati, people in Ohio know that They are, on average, I think John said, twice a year. The national team is playing in Ohio. So there isn't that urgency. And given the state of the economy right now, there's no real surprise that people are being far more careful about where every single dollar goes. But this is a long and ongoing conversation around U.S. soccer that I do not think the U.S. Soccer Federation has done a very good job of addressing. The ticket price is in today's market is one of those. How do you pick and choose venues, days of the week, and prices so that U.S. soccer is better supported?
How do you fix this, Casey?
Well, I think it has to be a lot of conversations around, but it's conversations that I know that Klinsmann had with U.S. Soccer at one stage, because I remember there was I think a friendly in New York against, or Boston, I can't remember exactly, somewhere on the East Coast against Brazil, and it was on a random night, and there wasn't a lot of fans there, and I think for that night the cheapest ticket was somewhere around like $125 or something like that, and there wasn't a big crowd, and I think the question mark around it was, why for this game is it not cheaper? Sell it out, get people interested in the game, maybe want to come back to a game that actually means something. And I think that's been a long-going conversation. But U.S. Soccer has its financial model and the way it wants to work, and it will do that accordingly. And until they get situations where they're not making money, I don't see where they're going to change. But, I mean, we can all question it. We can all wonder why. The players can question it. Obviously, coaching staff and everybody around will wonder why there's not a sold-out pro-American crowd for a friendly on a Wednesday night. But I think the guys pretty much gave the answers why there wasn't a crowd. I mean, Shaka makes a good point. The Moroccans, I'm sure, traveled from all over the country to get that one opportunity they're going to have to see their country before a World Cup where, you know, Ohio has been blessed with a lot of national team games and some very, very big games that actually meant something in recent history.
But we know how popular soccer is with the young generation. We've all got kids who have kind of grown up in this club system. Surely if you've got 8,000 empty seats, you know it's going to be, surely you hit those kids.
Absolutely.
And that's the way to go.
And listen, I do not know what US Soccer are doing in terms of their youth outreach with local youth clubs, even with MLS clubs. Do you offer some kind of a rebate or discount to season ticket holders, to Cincinnati FC? I don't know. Those are things that you can look at. But from a parent's perspective, and on top of all that, and we talk about youth soccer, and we hear all the time about how much money US Soccer has, thanks in large part to the pay-for-play model that they have with youth soccer, thanks to the US hosting the Gold Cups, etc. But me as a parent, club soccer, certainly for my kids, is somewhere up in the region of $2,500 a year. This is not inclusive of uniforms, travel.
That's ground level.
That's just to show up. That's not counting cleats, socks.
That's a car without a radio.
Exactly. You then have
and a roll of windows.
You also have to pay for your kids to travel and pay for the hotel, and then you add in. So if I want to go with my son, I'm leaving everybody else in my family home. That's already $150, $200 on top of what I'm already putting into US Soccer coffers. And that's a lot of money to spend for the average family. So what partnerships, how can you cater to this young fan base who are already spending way over the odds to come and see some of their own heroes in the flesh, in person? I'm not sure that I don't know, but I would like to hear what US Soccer are doing in terms of addressing that.
And how else do you create that connection with your heroes? By going to the stadium.
Yeah.
That's how you create the connection. That is the memory, right? I was there to watch Christian Pulisic. And it isn't just watching Christian Pulisic on TV with Chelsea. No, it's right here. He's right here. I can reach him. I can touch him. He's there. He came to my city. He came to my stadium. And now, US Soccer would know, as any organization that is putting on a game, they know well ahead of the match, well, what are the ticket sales so far? what's going on? Where is this moving? They know if the game is moving enough tickets or not. So if it's coming down to the last week or so and you know that you're struggling, you know you're going to be short, man, you grab those tickets and yes, you go and outreach to those teams that you're talking about, local youth teams, and say, come to the game. Generate this connection. Because this connection that you're making now with that kid who sees Christian Pulisic and whoever else they come to watch, that is a connection that is going to last for a lifetime. So the $75 that you may be giving away in that ticket, it is something that you're investing into the future of your sport in this country, because that connection will not go away. We all have connections that we made as kids in going and watching somebody play. And those connections last a lifetime. And that's a love for the game that lasts a lifetime for a ticket that you can give out for free.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.